Hello everyone, this is an intro to the annotated reference list assignment, as well as an intro to using the library to find primary sources. So just a brief overview of this assignment. I know we've talked about it a little bit. We are going to be finding 4 primary sources related to your research question using the library PsycInfo database. You're going to create a reference list and you're going to write an annotation for each reference and make sure your hypothesis fits what you find. So make sure that the research question and hypothesis you turned in with your codebook is going to work and is backed up empirically with primary sources. So we're going to find primary sources, watch the introduction that you are currently watching right now, and I'll show you some stuff about the library. Then with the reference list, you're going to need to find 4 primary sources, and you're going to need to list them in APA format. We're going to create an annotation that's like 2 or 3 sentences written in paragraph form that helps support your research hypothesis based on literature. It's due, you should have this format here, and then here's an example of an annotated reference. So let me pull over this. So the first thing you do when going to the library is you go to the BYU library website and you click on research guides. With research guides, you type in family sciences and it pulls up this page. Quinn Galbraith is the man who usually does this when you do it in class. I apologize about that, that pop-up there. Quinn Galbraith is usually the guy who does this. He comes into our classes and he teaches us. He's the man in charge. He's available for remote reference for help. He's really helpful. Any questions you have about the library, he can definitely help you out. But as for us, we are just going to go to the PsycInfo and click on it. Now it pulls up this page. And I have this page bookmarked because I use it all the time. And here you can start off by typing in a word. So this would be a word or a construct that you want to measure. It's not Google, so you can't just type in what. So I guess I'll tell you my research question that I'm going to be looking at in this video is, are pro-social media and educational media correlated? So does watching pro-social media impact your pro-social behavior? So I can't just type in what is the impact of pro-social media on pro-social behavior. I'm curious what'll even come up. Yeah, one document that's could be helpful, probably not. So instead, you have to type in key terms, and there are some ways you can find the appropriate key terms. I think here you can look around this site a little bit, but for now I'm just going to say pro-social media and click enter, and now it pulls up. All right, so I've got 82 literature entries in this database that I could use. A few options for customizing this page. I only want the peer-reviewed articles, so I'm going to click on that and wait for it to update. And then I only want the last 10 years, so I am going to change that and then click outside. Don't click enter there. Enter does something weird, so click instead of enter. Another cool feature of this page is I can go to page options and click on detailed, and now instead of just viewing the title and the authors, I now have the entire abstract, which is really useful, especially at your stage of your learning where you're still learning about research articles, still learning everything in there. You can just read the abstract and get everything you need from it. Now be careful, because you're going to be tempted to just copy parts of the abstract for your assignment, but it says here it should do not copy the abstract for your annotation. The summary should be in your own words. So do not just copy it, read it, and synthesize it, summarize it. Okay, so that's if you just want to use one word. Most likely, you're going to use multiple words there. So we're going to do an advanced search instead, because you have two things that you're researching: pro-social media and your independent variable and your dependent variable, which is pro-social media and pro-social behavior for me. Click enter, and then it pulls this up. So now we've got 50 articles that we can look at. Some other options with the search bar is you can create expressions using and or. So if I want pro-social media or educational media, then I can do that. And it pulls up 8 more articles. If you want pro-social media or educational media and pro-social behavior, but not violent anything. And there's a whole bunch of options for violent, but I don't want to include anything with violent or violence. So I'm actually going to take off the T and put an asterisk, and then that asterisk will get any of these and take them out. So I'll put that asterisk. It's kind of just a catch-all, wild card in Uno, makes you win, whatever. So I'm going to have anything that has pro-social or educational media and pro-social behavior, but I don't want anything that mentions violence. So now I've got 34. You can use as many or as few search terms as you need. I would recommend putting your independent variable and your dependent variable, and then if there's something that's confusing, like something totally unrelated keeps coming up, you can put that there. And then look through these articles. So there are a few different ways that you can get access to these. The first thing I would do is I like opening link in a new tab and going to it, and it pulls this page up. If you want the APA citation, you come over here to Cite and you copy it, and then you can pull it over to your Word document, and this could be my annotated reference list, and you pull in that. Let's make sure that it's APA format by pulling that over a little bit. Make sure the journal is there, and you can look up APA format a little bit better. Make sure that these are all in really good APA format. And then if you want access to the actual article, you go to Get It at BYU, and then click Full Text Online. It takes you through a few different clicks. Then you can go to Download PDF, download this article. We're able to do this because BYU pays for subscriptions to journals, and so we have access to these. When you leave BYU, you may not be able to do this, but for right now, you're probably able to get most of the articles that you would like. So that's what happens when it has a Get It at BYU button. If it's one of the articles that has a PDF full text, when you click on it, and again, if you just click, it'll pull it up in that tab. You can come over here and still click on Cite, come down to APA, and there's the citation. And then you can save this PDF wherever you want. I would recommend saving them because you never know when you're going to want to come back to them. This is some BYU professors, and he did his master's with Sarah Coyne and then went on to Ohio State. He's a nice guy. So that's the basics of using the library and finding research articles. Now, as for how to write up your summary, I think I wanted this article. Let me see if I can find it. This is the article that I'm using in my example. Okay, so first of all, let's close some of these tabs. We've got the abstract here, so let's come and grab the citation. Bring it over to my reference list. And this is actually the reference for these examples that I wrote out. So let's merge formatting. Let's make sure we've got the citation correct. And then here are two different ways that I talked about this study. So I came in here and I'm reading the abstract here. And I look and I say, okay, pro-social violent media kind of has pro-social violent media. This is all your research question. And then you have your methods right there. And then it talks about main findings all the way down, and then says something about discussion focuses on the importance of autonomy supportive parental monitoring as well as the implications, yada yada. You'll learn more about what those terms mean when we talk about them on Monday. But there are two different ways. I gave you two different examples plus the example that's on this sheet. So this one, something was a study of 420 undergraduate students who completed self-report measures, yada, yada, yada. Here's a better example using an actual abstract. So we have 1,193 adolescents were asked about parental media monitoring. Main findings suggest that autonomy restrictive monitoring was associated with lower levels of exposure. Autonomy restrictive monitoring was the only form of parental media monitoring associated with lower levels of violent content and higher pro-social content. Autonomy supportive active promoted pro-social behavior via exposure to pro-social media content. That's a lot of words. Here's my summary. A simple summary is this was a study of 1,193 adolescents who completed self-reports about their parents' involvement in their pro-social media and pro-social behavior. Results suggest that autonomy supportive styles were associated with better behaviors and better media patterns. So I focused on in this one, I focused on parenting and behaviors and media patterns, which related to my pro-social media and pro-social behavior. This one was a little bit longer, and I talked more about the nuance. So main findings suggest that autonomy restrictive rather than just autonomy supportive styles. Autonomy supportive restrictive monitoring may be associated with lower exposure to violent content. So I just went into a little more detail here, whereas this was pretty general. Either one would work. I would suggest the more information you can gather in a few sentences, the better. But as you dive into it, you'll get more practice, and we'll have some time this next week to practice, and we'll be available to answer questions. But I hope that gives you an intro to using the library website so that you can feel more successful and we can answer any questions in class. Thank you. See you then.